Sports Tonight with Fred and Vince, 11 Eastern on CNN.
My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
Tonight, he led the country out of scandal and survived 2 assassination attempts. President Gerald Ford in our Millennium Month is here for the next hour on Larry King Live. This is our Millennium Month on Larry King Live, and what a great honor to have as one of our special guests, President Gerald Ford, who this year received the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal, and he is 80, you're 86.
That's right. I can't change the numbers.
How does it feel to be 86? What is that like?
I feel great, Larry. I'm very healthy in every way, a couple of knee replacements, but other than that, I'm doing fine and having a hard time keeping up with Betty.
All old football players eventually have knee replacements, right?
That's pretty true.
Why didn't you go to the NFL? You had 3 teams were after you, and you chose to go to Yale.
Well, when I got through Michigan, I was offered opportunities at the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, but I had a chance to go to Yale as a assistant football coach and go to law school at the same time. So that opportunity was so wonderful. I couldn't turn down the chance to further my education and earn some money in the meantime.
See what a mistake. You could have made something out of yourself. What a mistake you made. Are there ever times you say, I would have liked to have played pro football?
I would, in retrospect, like to have played 1 year just to prove that I could. But the opportunity to go to Yale and be an assistant coach and go to law school at the same time might not have been available.
Because Gerald Ford is a major story in this century. You look back on an incredible, how many years in Congress were you?
25 and a half years, 13 elections.
Minority leader?
For 9 years.
Vice president?
9 months.
And president?
2.5 years. So we were there 28 and a half years, and we enjoyed it. It was a great honor. And I urge other young people to get into politics. It's an honorable profession, and we need good people, men and women, who will serve in public office.
Those who have dishonored it have not turned you off from it.
Not a bit. In politics, like any other profession, Larry, there are bad apples. You have it in your profession, we have it in all other professions. But that doesn't mean that young people shouldn't serve in government, elective office or appointive office.
What was it like to, you and the wife get the Presidential Medal of Freedom?
That was a great, great thrill to have President Clinton give us the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and then to have it followed a few months later with a Congressional Gold Medal. That was a great thrill because the President, the Speaker, the Democrat leaders in the House and the Senate all said some very nice things.
They sure did. I will give you some quotes later. What was it like to be back in the White House?
That was nice to come back and to see the place, and to particularly, Larry, there's some wonderful people who work there regardless of who is the president.
Still there when you were president?
There were some of the people who were there when Betty and I were there. They came back specially just to say hello and to reminisce a bit. That was a great thrill.
What, President Ford, was we've asked other presidents this, Clinton says it's the loneliness at times. What was the worst part of being president? What aspect of that job did you like the least?
Well, I enjoyed every bit of it. It was
Really?
a challenge.
The bad were good.
Oh, yes, that was always a challenge, even though it was difficult on occasion dealing with the Congress. Even on occasion, it was difficult dealing with Mr. Brezhnev from the Soviet Union over in Vladivostok or Helsinki. Sure, there were some tough times, challenging times, but I enjoyed every minute good or bad.
Did you ever feel it was a lonely place? Did you ever feel isolated?
On occasion, but not often. It's a beautiful, beautiful residence, and the people there make it so comfortable. And if you enjoy the challenges, I don't think you ever really feel lonesome.
So many areas to cover. One, though, you're the last living member of the Warren Commission.
That is correct.
Have you ever had a doubt that there was anyone other than Lee Harvey Oswald involved?
I reiterate what we as a 7-member board did, or commission. We said Lee Harvey Oswald committed the assassination, and we as a commission found no evidence of a conspiracy, foreign or domestic. We agreed on that unanimously. I think today I have the same strong feelings.
So they haven't wavered?
Not a bit.
Then. Were you rushed? There are some would say that President Johnson put a rush on all of you to get this done.
It was desirable to get it completed prior to the elections of 1964. We had 13 months to do it, to carry out our responsibilities as a commission. So I think we had ample time, Larry, and the pressure of the election coming up didn't really interfere with our judgment.
Do you think one of the reasons the conspiracy theorists hold forth in so many areas is that it's hard to accept that one lone man could change the world?
Well, let me just say this, Larry. There are critics, cynics about who killed Abraham Lincoln.
Correct.
And that's over 100 years ago. So I'm sure you're going to have people, in addition to Oliver Stone and some of the other people in the years ahead, who are going to say the same thing. But the truth is, I have seen no new credible evidence that would change my mind.
We'll be back with more. President Gerald Ford, 86 years young. His wife was with us a while back as well. This is Larry King Live in our Millennium Month. Don't go away.
I'm feeling good about America. It's something great to see. I'm feeling good about Gerald Ford, and I'm feeling good about me.
Larry King Live is brought to you by Office Depot, low prices every day, and by Fidelity Investments. We help you invest responsibly. Visit us at fidelity.com.
As you might expect, Teller and I don't see eye to eye on investing. I like to avoid risk. Teller's a little more daring. We do, however, share the same new way to trade online.
Introducing Power Street by Fidelity, the first site with trading tools customized by Lycos to fit your life, your goals, your unique way of doing things.
Look, the market's up. Or, in your case, down.
Power Street Online Trading. Call or visit fidelity.com to open an account.
Nobody in America sells more office products to more businesses than Office Depot.
You can shop our store. Or you can shop our catalog.
You can shop online.
It's all mine. Taking care of business and working overtime.
Office Depot, taking care of business.
BNP Paribas Group, a highly diversified international bank with global knowledge and local market expertise, gives U.S. investors access to global markets. Discover BNP Paribas Group, a solid platform for informed, innovative solutions.
It's time for the world to go to work. A brochure is emailed to Sir Speedy for printing, a manual for electronic copying, a report for output. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, people down the street, across the country, and around the world use the internet to do business with the Sir Speedy Global Digital Network. If hundreds of thousands of businesses trust Sir Speedy, chances are we can handle your documents. Call Sir Speedy, the Printing Copying Digital Network.
Shop the world's finest brands under one roof. Yours. LuxuryFinder.com. For the holidays.
Gerald R. Ford, President of the United States, pursuant to the pardon power conferred upon me by Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, have granted, and by these presents do grant, a full, free, and absolute pardon unto Richard Nixon for all offenses against the United States which he, Richard Nixon, has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from July 20, 1969 through August 9, 1974.
In retrospect, President Ford, was the pardon of Richard Nixon the toughest decision you had to make?
It was a tough one because it was a decision where I had to sign my name, and I was the sole person that had to make that decision. But when you look back at the alternatives that I had, it was the right decision, and I have
no doubt about that either.
I have no question that it was the right thing to do then, and I'm more certain today.
The alternatives being you wanted to avoid the embarrassment of a trial of a president?
Well, there was no question that if I had not granted the pardon, there would have been an indictment, there would have been a trial, there probably, without a question of a doubt, a conviction, and then you would have had 1, 2, 3, or 4 years of appeal. It would have been a traumatic incident in the country for 3 to 5 years.
And may have cost you an election, right? May have.
It may have. It was one of several factors.
What was it like for you to assume the vice presidency in those days, replacing a discredited vice president, and then having all this break while you're a breath away, and here it is breaking about this man? What was it like for you?
I was very fortunate, Larry, in that I, as a member of Congress, had had many opportunities to meet with, work with, listen to firsthand other presidents, going back as far as Harry Truman. Harry Truman took me and the other members of my committee and gave us a personal tour of the White House at the time we were going to decide whether to tear it down, rebuild it, or what. And then, of course, I had the honor of knowing Eisenhower and Kennedy and Nixon and Johnson. So I wasn't a stranger to the White House itself or the responsibility or the issues.
How about a scandal going on all around you, though?
Well, that was a distressing circumstance. When I was vice president, it was a narrow path I had to follow. If I condemned Nixon as vice president, people would have criticized me. On the other hand, if I embraced him too strongly, people would have been highly critical. So I had to go down a very narrow path.
How did was President Nixon the one to tell you, I'm resigning, you are going to be president? How were you told that?
Well, he asked me to come to the Oval Office and asked me to sit down. I had known Dick Nixon for 20-some years. We were good personal friends.
In the House together, right?
And that's right. And I supported him when he was up for election. He asked me to sit down and he said, Jerry, I'm going to resign tomorrow. And I want you to know that I have full confidence that you can carry on, particularly the foreign policies that we have agreed on over the years and whatever domestic problems we have.
What'd you say?
I said, well, I wish this was not going to happen because I really had hoped that the things that had come to light were not the truth or were not justifying his resignation. So I was saddened because a friend was taking that very dramatic step, but the facts were there and he had no choice.
What was it like, though? What did you think and feel as you left the office, knowing that tomorrow you're the leader of the free world?
Well, as I said a moment ago, I felt confident that I was prepared.
Did you call Betty right away?
Well, she knew where I was and knew what was going to happen because we had been forewarned. The night before, as we went to bed, we actually held hands and prayed that our new responsibilities we could carry on as a team and do a good job.
When you pardoned President Nixon, did you call him?
No, I had no direct contact
at all.
with him. I had an attorney from my White House staff go out with his attorney, Jack Miller, to negotiate the final terms of two things. One, what we were going to do with Nixon's papers, tapes, and records. That was an important issue. Some people wanted to get all that out of the White House, and I said no, because those documents were important for whatever trials, if any, were going to be held. And secondly, what the terms of the pardon would be, how they would announce it, and whether President Nixon would make a public statement accepting it. Well, my attorney, Benton Becker, did a fabulous job in negotiating, and the net result was we got the papers, kept them in Washington, and there was, in effect, an acceptance by President Nixon.
No big personal statement, though, a release, right,
No.
I think. What was it like to stand on the lawn the day he left and went to that helicopter and that famous wave?
Well, Betty and I were not happy to see a friend go through that traumatic experience, so I think we were saddened by it, Larry. Even though it was a new challenge to us to see Pat and Dick leave under those circumstances, that was not a pleasant moment.
More of the life and times of President Gerald Ford. Don't go away.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office. As I recall the high hopes for America with which we began this second term, I feel a great sadness that I will not be here in this office working on your behalf to achieve those hopes in the next 2.5 years. But in turning over direction of the government to Vice President Ford, I know, as I told the nation when I nominated him for that office 10 months ago, that the leadership of America will be in good hands.
The holidays are filled with dreams of what good things may come overnight. And to help make those dreams come true, Best Buy has become an official sponsor of Toys and Tots. This season, share the excitement of the holidays. Reach out, give something of yourself, and help bring a little magic to life.
Airbags, a steel safety cage, and a whiplash protection seating system. All the safety you'd expect in a Volvo, at a price you may not. Introducing the Volvo S40.
Great walk, huh, Jake? Your next call.
I am acutely aware that you have not elected me as your president by your ballots. So I ask you to confirm me as your president with your prayers.
Henry Kissinger said about Gerald Ford, he was called after the Vietnam War and Watergate to heal the most severe national division since the Civil War. Did you see yourself as having to heal this country?
That was my prime objective as the occupant of the Oval Office. You can remember, as I do, the turbulence and the turmoil that existed because of the Watergate scandal, the problems of the tragic war in Vietnam. Families were torn apart. The communities were disrupted. You had riots and all the other things. It was a terrible time in this country. And it was my principal responsibility to restore integrity in the White House and to bring about healing in the country.
What was ending that war like for you?
Well, to sit in the Oval Office, Larry, and see those people from the roof of the U.S. Embassy in Saigon taking helicopters, and to know that we were being literally kicked out of Vietnam by the North Vietnamese, that was a sad experience for any president to see us lose as we did. So,
and you had to tell us about it.
I had to go on television to explain what had transpired and that we had rescued all of the U.S. military personnel and as many as possible of our South Vietnamese allies who had fought with us year after year as good allies.
Taking it now to current, you attempted or did get involved in the Clinton-Lewinsky matter by offering to somehow barter, or what was your role there? I remember you wrote an op-ed piece.
I wrote an op-ed piece for the New York Times which said that rather than go through the process of an impeachment by the House and the actual conviction in the Senate, it would be far wiser to have a condemnation by resolution by the House and the Senate.
Censure.
A censure, in effect. I recommended that. I still think it would have been the right idea. It was rejected by the Congress. Subsequently, about 3 weeks later, former President Carter and I signed a joint op-ed piece for the New York Times that, in effect, reiterated the suggestion that a censure was the right process.
In retrospect, is that what they should have done?
I think so. Having lived through the Nixon trauma, I know that, or I knew that an impeachment and conviction would have been a terrible waste of time, and it would have made more sense to have a responsible censure resolution.
Did you not say recently that the Clinton people personally asked you to get involved and you asked him to at least admit perjury?
Well, one of his top lawyers called me and made a suggestion that maybe I could be helpful by saying something public. And then subsequently I talked to the president himself, and I said I would be glad to, providing he would admit that he had committed perjury, and he said he could not and would not, so my role never went further.
As one former president, a member of the opposition party looking at another, how do you explain Mr. Clinton, even his strongest critics would say, extraordinary success? How does he do it?
Well, he is a very bright, extremely articulate individual, and he works at the job, and he's had his share of successes, and he's had his share of problems.
You have also been critical of your own party of late, especially its drift farther rightward. Was that tough for you to come out and criticize your own, to break the Reagan rule of we don't criticize our own?
Not at all, because I think having been in the political arena actively and holding positions of responsibility, at my age, I have an obligation to speak out as I really feel. And I feel very strongly that the Republican Party ought to be the party of the middle, not an extreme right-wing party, and duplicate the mistake that my Democratic friends made for about 3 elections of being too far to the left. The record is that when the Democrats nominated an extreme liberal, McGovern, Dukakis, the others, they lost. And we Republicans will lose if we nominate candidates who are on the fringe, the extreme right. The public generally, Larry, believes in moderation, middle-of-the-road political philosophy and ideology.
Have you supported anyone as yet?
I have not indicated that I'm favorable to any one of the Republican candidates. In my position as a former Republican president, I think it's wise for me to stay out until the delegates at our convention in Philadelphia make a decision. Then if they ask me, I'll help if I can.
Back with more of President Gerald Ford on this edition of Larry King Live. Don't go away.
But I want you to know something personally. It was easy for us to criticize you because we were caught up in the moment. You didn't get caught up in the moment, and you were right. You were right for the controversial decisions you made to keep the country together, and I thank you for that.
I will not forget that I have long-term responsibilities.
I won't let panic triumph over reason. I'll stay the course when everyone else says the sky is falling.
The stock market moves up and down, sometimes dramatically. In my 30-year career, the stock market's gone up over 10-fold. But in that same time period, it's had 14 drops of 10% or more. Stay the course. That's what I've always done.
For more information on Fidelity funds with a history of solid performance, visit Fidelity.com.
We are the fast cats in the global energy business. We're much leaner, more agile, and a lot more innovative than the other cats. And that's why to a fast cat, anything is possible. Think big, move fast, Conoco.
What would you do with a crystal face hand-polished to withstand 2 tons of unadulterated pressure? What would you do with a tachymetric scale so precise it can survive 240-degree heat? What would you do with the world-renowned Alpha Expedition timepiece? Well, you'd probably just use it to tell time. And at $6,500, that watch could cost you over $30,000 in retirement savings. We just thought you should know. Ask a financial advisor about Sun America, the retirement specialist.
Say this from the bottom of my heart. After the scrimmages of the past few months, it really feels good to have Ron Reagan on the same side of the line.
Have you been to see President Reagan?
I went to see him about a year ago. I was in L.A. and I called and Nancy said I could stop by. I went to his office and it was very, very sad, Larry. He didn't recognize me. I spent about a half hour there. Toward the end, as I reminded him of our many experiences together, there was some semblance that he knew who I was. But we were longtime good friends. We had a little controversy in 76. But aside from that, we've been good friends. Betty and Nancy are good friends, and I think he was a good president.
Is that the worst of diseases?
Well,
it's right up there, ain't it?
Terrible tragedy to see people like President Reagan go through that circumstance.
And this extraordinary friendship that you have, I guess, embodied with President Carter. You two, I mean, you ran against each other. It was a tough, close race, And now you appear together at forums, you go to the Peace Center, he comes to your place. This started on the trip back from the Sadat funeral, right?
Well, that was sort of the highlight of it. President Reagan asked Nixon, Carter, and myself to go to represent him at the Sadat funeral. And in the 20 or 30 hours that we spent together in an aircraft, we became good friends. And the net result is our friendship has grown, and I've gone to his library and museum in Atlanta, and he's reciprocated, come to mine in Michigan. I think he's a fine person. He spends a great deal of time with the Habitat of Humanity, and he travels extensively. And we have many good things in common.
Should former presidents be put to, I don't mean it like better use than we do?
Well, from my personal experience, whenever a sitting president, Democrat or Republican, calls and asks for help, a former president responds. Jimmy Carter asked me to do two or three things to help get votes for a recognition of the People's Republic of China, the Panama Canal problem. And I had opportunities more recently with President Clinton. I participated in a White House conference to push NAFTA along with Jimmy Carter and George Bush. So former presidents are always available, and I have known no former president who didn't respond when asked by the White House.
We're only halfway through and lots more to talk about. We'll be right back with President Ford after this.
My fellow Americans, I once asked you for your prayers, and now I give you mine. May God guide this wonderful country, its people, and those they have chosen to lead them. May our third century be illuminated by liberty and blessed with brotherhood, so that we, in all who come after us, may be the humble servants of thy peace.
Tonight on CNN Newsstand, meet some top CEOs who've joined the frenetic online world. CNN Newsstand, tonight, 10 Eastern.
There's no thrill like discovery. The Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Sponsored in your community by West Coast Bank.
It's the grand opening of Car Stereo City's new Clackamas store, and America's #1 retailer is celebrating with free installation of most car decks and CD players. Pioneer 180-watt AM/FM CD player, $149. JVC remote control 12-disc CD changer, $199. Sony AM/FM car deck and 10-disc CD changer package, $299. And right now, get 2 free digital cell phones with AT&T's new Simple Family Calling Plan. It's simple, it's AT&T, and it's better than free at Car Stereo City.
100 hours of Millennium 2000, only on CNN.
We're back with President Gerald Ford, other aspects of his life, and of course we'll talk about Betty and how they got through all that, which has been tremendous. What about being shot at?
Well, I had 2 experiences, one in Sacramento when Squeaky Fromm, a member of the Manson gang, tried to... She's still in jail. Well, I had gone to breakfast at a hotel across from the state capitol, and I was walking along the walk to pay a courtesy call on then Governor Jerry Brown. And I noticed as I walked along a lady in a red dress following behind the first row of people who were there greeting me. And as I went to shake hands, a hand appeared with a pistol in it about as far as you are from me. And Larry Boondorf, one of my Secret Service agents, very alertly saw it, grabbed the pistol, and prevented her from pulling the trigger.
Did you see it?
Well, I saw the pistol.
What was that like?
Scared the heck out of me.
I mean, not many of us have seen a pistol pointed at them.
That closely. And
Did you lean forward to try to stop, or did he jump in right away?
He got there before I could really react. Larry was 100% on the job. And then, of course, about a month later, I came out of the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco after making a speech before the San Francisco Foreign Policy Group. As I walked out of the hotel to get into the car, a shot took place, and fortunately it missed me. Now I'm told that across the street where the shot came from, a lady, Sarah Jane Moore, pulled the trigger, but a Marine standing next to her saw it and hit her hand, and the net result was the shot missed me. She's in jail too. They're both in, I think, a Parkersburg, West Virginia federal penitentiary.
Did that cause you increased hesitancy about future appearances?
Not at all.
No?
That was one of the risks that you have to assume, Larry, when you're in the White House.
But it's logical to have some fear.
Well, I guess you would say subjectively you have fear, but you can't let those kind of incidents, restrict you in your responsibilities as a...
So you're out in public the next day?
That's right. And on occasion you'll wear a protective vest, but very unusual.
And, of course, Reagan being shot. Do you have some thoughts on guns in this country? There's a constant debate about it.
Well, let me just say this. We've never owned a gun in our house. I'm not a hunter, so I have no personal views other than I think some reasonable, responsible gun control legislation is desirable. I don't think that's going to solve the problem 100%, but I think reasonable restrictions do make sense.
What do you make of the NRA?
Well, I have some wonderful friends back in Michigan who are avid gun users, collectors.
State, right?
It's a big hunting state. And I understand their viewpoint, and I regret the extremists who want to make it difficult for a legitimate gun owner to own a gun. But we ought to find some way of restricting the acquisition of guns by irresponsible people.
You supported Brady then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the great debate in your party about abortion?
Well, I have to be very frank and clear here. Betty and I are pro-choice, period. We have no apology for that. And we, on the other hand, don't think that issue should be in the partisan political arena.
Shouldn't be in the platform even?
That's right. It's not a philosophical partisan issue. It's a very personal issue. We can be opposed to abortion, but it should not be thrown into the partisan political debate. And therefore, even though we're pro-choice, we would oppose any effort to get an anti-abortion provision in our platform.
Do you think the party can get itself together in that? I mean, there are a lot of worries that, you know, we're the all-inclusive party, but you know the differences are extreme in that area.
Well, a major national political party has to be a party as an umbrella. And under that umbrella, you'll have differences of opinion on individual issues. And abortion is one of those. We have some who are pro-life and some who are pro-choice. And we have other issues, Larry, where there is a legitimate difference of opinion.
Guns is one of them.
You can't have a limited party on one sole issue and win a national election.
Were you happy to see Pat Buchanan leave your party?
Yes.
Simply put, yes.
He's a nice person. I've known him a long time, but somebody with those ideological views and his constant criticism of the party generally, I think he's better off over there with Donald Trump and governor from Minnesota and the others, Ross Perot. That'll be a great collection of people.
We'll be back with more of Gerald Ford, and we'll talk family right after this.
As I try in my imagination to look into the homes where families are watching the end of this great convention, I can't tell which faces are Republicans, which are Democrats, and which are independents. I cannot see their color or their creed. I see only Americans.
One small step for man.
High roads of the future.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I think the most broad gauge thing that Lyndon did was to bring into the mainstream of American life a whole lot of people, blacks, Hispanics, outsiders, the opportunity, the hope, the chance to participate fully and to achieve.
I truly think that he will be remembered most for his bringing the nation together at a time of a terrible crisis when things were kind of falling apart. And he was the steadying influence that really solidified the nation.
So help me God.
I would like for people to remember my husband as one who cared for people, and he wanted them to have the best possible life. And I think that he will go down in history as having human rights as the main basic thing he's remembered for.
Well, I think he'll be remembered for ending the Cold War, certainly.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And I think he'll be remembered for giving hope and confidence back to the people and giving Americans back their confidence in themselves.
This Voices of the Millennium has been brought to you by United Airlines. Rising is a daily commitment to make flying more civilized. United is rising.
United is setting the standard for others to follow. Rising is leading.
Deadlines have no mercy. Thankfully, wherever you are, whenever you're finished, you can send a document to Sir Speedy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sir Speedy will print, copy, bind, and deliver your work when and where you need it. Use the internet or call your nearby Sir Speedy and be part of the printing, copying, digital network.
He gets back into the race car from the right side. And here he goes. Look at him wind up those tires. The final lap of the run.
Shop the world's finest brands under one roof. Yours. LuxuryFinder.com. For the holidays.
Introducing Power Street, where you could win free trades for life. Visit Fidelity.com for details. Power Street. Online trading gets personal. Get in-depth market analysis and stock picks from Lehman Brothers on Power Street. Power Street. Online trading at Fidelity.com.
Back with President Ford. Betty was here just a while back. What was that like? Tell us about discovering Betty's alcoholism and that famed meeting when the family had. But how did you know your wife had a problem?
Well, I was what they call an enabler. I really didn't recognize it our daughter Susan was the one who really raised the issue in the family. And
was this in the house, when you were in the house?
No, this was when we had left Washington and were in California. Susan...
So she was drinking in the White House and you had enabled that. Oh, you weren't aware of a problem.
But we were not what I would call drinkers. But her problem was a combination of prescribed medication by doctors in the White House and elsewhere, plus a few martinis or a bourbon and water during the afternoon.
And as an enabler, you said it's okay, right?
Yes. I think I worried about it, but I didn't see that it in any way whatsoever prevented Betty from carrying out her duties as First Lady. But Susan was more alert to it than I or anybody else in our family, and she was the one that prompted the intervention that took place in our house in Palm Springs.
When you all met with her, right?
That's right. We had the children, 2 doctors who were experts in intervention, and it was not an easy hour and a half or 2. We had to be very frank, upfront. The children expressed their experiences where they were disappointed, but...
She said she almost had helped her the most. She realized it right away and got to work at it.
Well, right after that, she committed to go to the Long Beach Naval Hospital for a month of treatment. And of course, she's had 21 or 22 years of total sobriety.
Was it difficult for you? You knew as a former president this is going to get a lot of publicity.
That never entered my mind. I assumed it would, but the openness that we've always had, Betty and myself, I think helped many people who had similar problems, just like when Betty was very open and frank when she had her mastectomy surgery. So as a family, we have a tradition of being upfront. Mm-hmm. You can't change.
Was that difficult for you, living with the breast cancer?
Not at all. Not at all. It was
had no macho problems, as many men seem to face sometimes, or we hear about.
Well, I can say to any husband, don't be handicapped by being so limited in your affection and love for your wife that you worry about that.
Back with more of President Ford on this edition of Larry King Live in our Millennium Month, right after this.
If you have not chosen me by secret ballot, neither have I gained office by any secret promises. I have not campaigned either for the presidency or the vice presidency. I have not subscribed to any partisan platform. I am indebted to no man, and only to one woman.
Bill Kelly just rewrote his will. To wife Kate, he'll one day leave 2 homes, stock options, and his investment portfolio. He'll leave other assets to his children. All his beneficiaries are here. All except the IRS, who could get 2/3 of everything. See how we earn it. Solomon Smith Barney.
We're talking about how the net is changing your life. Hello, you're on Web Talk.
To find out how drinking affects your blood alcohol level, there's the hard way and the easy way. Once more, that's hard, easy, expensive, free, really dumb, smart. The Century Council is funded by America's leading distillers.
Log on to dsports.com, the ultimate online sporting goods store. dsports.com. Seize the D.
Tonight on CNN Newsstand, meet some top CEOs who've left it all behind, trading it in for the frenetic online world. Plus, predictions for the worlds of news, fashion, entertainment, and finance. CNN Newsstand, tonight, 10 Eastern.
CNN will usher in the new year live from every time zone on the planet with 60 of its top correspondents bringing you the global celebrations. Millennium 2000, 100 hours of non-stop coverage on CNN.
Were you angry at Bob Woodward when he wrote in Shadow this? I'll quote it. Ford was unaccustomed to the high level of scrutiny. He was used to a congressional lifestyle, which often included alcohol at lunch, and this habit proved particularly embarrassing for Ford when he gave a luncheon speech once in Denver, skipped several dozen pages because he had what his aides called a few martinis before speaking. And he wrote later that you cut back after that. Were you embarrassed to read that or not?
Well, I don't remember the incident, and I therefore raise some question whether it ever took place. But I'm very proud to say that following Betty's good decision, I haven't had a drink for 21 years. So,
even though you never had a problem, did you?
No, I just decided...
Support her by not drinking yourself.
I just decided after she had started her sobriety that I wasn't going to drink myself, and so I haven't had a drink in 21 years.
And when the President Clinton presented you with the gold medal, he said of you and Betty, their children are here, still rooting for them. And that's something because kids grow through hell if their folks are in politics. They get all the burdens and none of the benefits. True?
There's a great deal of truth to that. On the other hand, our children were all born in Washington, Larry, and so they grew up in the political arena to a degree when I was in the Congress and vice president. So they
knew the scene.
They knew the ball game, and they understood it. Now, Susan has objected from time to time that when she was 17 and we were in the White House and she had a date, she had to have Secret Service along with her when she went. Now, that's not the best environment for a young...
By the way, if you make a date with the daughter of the president, do you call? Do you come to the front door? What do you do?
Well,
I don't... take her to the movies. What do you do?
I'm not sure how that happens. I wasn't too involved in it. Susan seemed to have dates. And
Secret Service followed her to the movies?
Oh, yes. They were with her. Many of the times they drove she and her date to wherever they were going.
It's a sad thing that has to be in this country,
bad,
right?
Right.
Do you are you ever annoyed by them, having them around?
No. I admire the Secret Service. They're very professional. They understand their responsibilities, and Betty and I have a good relationship with them. They respect our privacy, and we respect their professionalism.
In our remaining moments, Life Now with Gerald Ford, and what's ahead for this very young 86-year-old former president right after this.
As you might expect, Teller and I don't see eye to eye on investing. I like to avoid risk. Teller's a little more daring. We do, however, share the same new way to trade online.
Introducing Power Street by Fidelity, the first site with trading tools customized by Lycos to fit your life, your goals, your unique way of doing things.
Look, the market's up. Or, in your case, down.
Power Street Online Trading. Call or visit Fidelity.com to open an account.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. You know, your home is your sanctuary, the one place you and your children should feel safe. But there can be dangers, too, and some of them are not so obvious. Improperly wired outlets that can electrocute, water coolers that can burn, household cleaners that can kill, lead paint that can poison. To find out about them, call HUD.
For a free brochure on HUD's healthy homes and FHA loans, just call. HUD and FHA are on your side.
You know, I'm a very big reader, so when people ask me what I want, I always say a bestseller. Hey, if I don't like it, I won't have to wear it. Meanwhile, my daughter gives me this book called The Book. So what does that mean, the book? It's a bestseller, she says. The Bible. The Bible? You sure? It looks like a novel. Then she tells me it's a personal gift from God. What, it's signed? You should read it in good health, she says.
Get the book. Easy to read, hard to put down. The perfect gift.
How come I never read this?
Couple of other things. Governor George W. Bush is facing some of this, people making fun of him a little as on intellect, and they had fun with you on bumbling, falling down. Did that bother you, or did you take it good-naturedly?
I tried to take it good-naturedly, at least as far as the public was concerned, because if you react otherwise, it just aggravates the problem and makes it worse.
What about personally?
In a subjective sense, you know, I had a fairly good record in athletics at the University of Michigan. Not quite, but anyhow, and I loved to ski, and I got to ski fairly well. So I subjectively resented the implications that I couldn't keep my balance. But when you're in public office, you have to expect criticism from the press, from your opponents, from everybody else, and you have to live with it.
What's life like now?
Well, I'm having a wonderful time in retirement. I am trying to cut back. I've been to 180 colleges and universities to lecture, to teach. That was a wonderful experience to be at the grassroots level with the next generation of young people. And let me say without any qualification, I'm convinced this generation of young people will do a first-class job when the reins of government are turned over to them.
You're optimistic about the millennium then?
Absolutely.
About the next turn.
You know, Larry, the United States has a great track record in the 20th century. We won 2 world wars against aggression. We overcame communism as exemplified by the Soviet Union. We won the battle against the Depression of the 1930s. We have gotten rid of the Jim Crow laws. We've given minorities a better break. So I think our track record is good, and I'm confident in the 21st century, those in positions of responsibility will carry on and do better.
Do you still get the lump when you hear the Stars and Stripes?
No, I
Does
sure do.
July 4th still move you?
I'm very emotional and patriotic when it comes to anything involving what I think is the greatest country in the history of mankind.
And an honor having you with us.
I've enjoyed it, Larry. It's been wonderful.
Former President Gerald Ford, thanks for joining us from Los Angeles. Good night.
On CNN Travel Now, from preventing air rage to overcoming one's fear of flying, travel challenges. CNN Travel Now, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Some decisions are not smart.
Sinus sufferers, it can start with a twinge or perhaps a slight pressure. For everyone, there's a signal. Your sinuses are gonna be trouble. Don't let it happen. Take Sudafed at the first sign. Untreated sinus pressure can escalate to pain. But now, taking Sudafed at the first sign releases pressure, so symptoms don't get worse.
The first sign of pressure, that's my signal.
Stop sinus pain before it starts. Take non-drowsy Sudafed at the first sign.